Förflabonga, monthrotacular. With Dale and Tony breaking all the rules. Talking tech, biz, and straight up chaos. Quick fire guests, oh yeah, we slay those.
Sorry, I had a bit of a burp there. Apologies, very unprofessional. Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga FICB. With me today, I've got my awesome co-host,
Tony Stevenson.
Bangin', and we've got a fantastic guest.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Marshall.
Oh dear, it would appear we have a slight delay. That's unusual. Okay, we can work with this. We can work with this. We can work with this. First and foremost, we're going to do something we don't usually do. Here's a word from our sponsor. First and foremost, little QR code in the top right. What is that for? Please scan it, because Nomad Flow are running a 30-minute webinar tomorrow at 12 o'clock BST, the time in England. And if you are a SaaS go-to-market leader trying to work and partner with bookkeepers and accountants, this webinar is for you. Is it relevant for accounting firms and bookkeepers? Yes, but essentially it's eliminating the activation gap and making sure firms get motivated to use your products and services. So if you're a fintech vendor, provider, getting stuck with accounting firms and bookkeepers not using your services, click on the QR, scan the QR code. We're going to put a link in the chat in a minute. And yeah, join the webinar tomorrow at 12 p.m. That's Nomad Flow's webinar. Cool. I think I did a pretty good job of that, didn't I? Like, I wasn't too salesy.
Pretty solid, I think, mate.
Check it out. Look, we've already got people live. Kirsty St. John. Hey, Kirsty. How's it going? Let me pop this in the chat. Boom. There's the link. I don't know what platform it's going to appear on, if it's LinkedIn or YouTube. Probably just YouTube, because LinkedIn's funny like this. Mehul, he's here. Thank you, Mehul. Well, Peeps is already here. This is great. Sorry, I've talked a lot, and our guest hasn't said anything in the first 2 minutes. Steph. Can I call you Steph? Are we there yet?
I don't think we are. Can we stick to Stephanie?
We can, Stephanie. That's fine. Stephanie. Oh, we already know your name. What do you do for a living?
How long have you got? So, hi everyone. If you don't already know me, I'm Stephanie Marshall. I'm a bookkeeper and accountant by trade. I own and run multi-award-winning boutique finance and systems business, ABCS UK. I'm also the founder and host of the 3Bs podcast, the first CPD accredited podcast in the industry. 15 minutes of short, sharp business building tips. I'm also the best-selling author of the Finance for Life, the book to teach financial education to 16 to 19-year-olds, and something else I can't talk about just yet, but you'll all see it soon on my socials.
I mean, love a cliffhanger.
You're a pro, an absolute pro. Stephanie, if you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be that accurately portrays your personality and why, but don't just pick your favorite biscuit? I know I've asked you already, so I'm asking again.
Oh, that's a tricky one. The one that portrays my personality?
Mm.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for a dark chocolate tonic tea cake. And do you know why? Because I'm a little bit Scottish on the inside. I promise you I am. I'm part of the ICB Aberdeenshire branch, despite being in Kent. But the dark chocolate's a little bit unusual, a little bit quirky, a little bit out there. And I think that sums me up quite well.
How are you part of the Aberdeenshire branch if you're in Kent?
Because it's all done virtually. So they took me under their wing.
Oh,
that's nice. That's nice. Tony?
Yes?
I know you like to wait for me to talk a little bit so you can think, but it's also really fun messing with you. Do you have any questions you want to ask in the first 5 minutes?
I've got several that have been loading. Could you talk us through the naming of your business? What does the letters in the name of the business? ABCS UK.
Yeah, so ABCS UK is actually developed. Yeah, it's developed. So it originally started as accountancy, bookkeeping, communication and support. Part of it wanted to be top of the phone book. I know 2021 is phone books were slowly being phased out, but I just wanted to be at the top of the list. As ABCS UK has grown and developed, and we do compliance, but we also do business development. We build web shops, we do marketing, train the staff, whole business team building, really. It now stands for accounting intelligence, business systems, communication and support.
That's a lot.
Got it. That was, yeah. I thought it was going to be like initials of someone or no. That is not the answer I was expecting. Very good.
I'm always the answer no one's expecting.
You mentioned being an accountant and a bookkeeper. Is that correct? How did that? Which were you first? Like, how did that sort of play out? Is it unusual to see someone that has both? Normally one or the other, right?
Yeah, so to be completely honest, I'm a bookkeeper. I'm an ICB bookkeeper. That is my passion. I've been doing bookkeeping since I left school at 16. I'm 35 now, so that's like over half my life, which is scary. But I have been a bookkeeper in various different guises, started in industry, worked in employed roles before starting my practice. The accounting came once the practice started because I was sick of people calling me an accountant and I wasn't. And people like mislabeled me as an accountant. I was like, do you know what? Screw it. I'm going to become an accountant. It was as simple as joining the ICPA at the time. Like I didn't actually sit a qualification. I'm not a chartered accountant.
Okay.
And I was called themselves an accountant, but I do the same work as an accountant. I'm qualified to do end of year accounts and payroll and all of those things through the ICB. So it made complete sense just to do that for a year, to give myself that title to stop people mislabeling me.
I like the way that so many people mislabeled you, and instead of you kind of getting a sign that said "I'm not an accountant," you're just like, "Screw it, I'm going to join up." Yeah, I'm going to make you right.
We've taken opposite approaches because people have labelled me an accountant, and I have a sign that says I'm not an accountant. I often say it in various meetings and situations. I'm like, yes, I work for Creston Reeves. No, I'm not an accountant. That's been my mantra for the last 5 years.
I'm going to do a Dale question. Which is your favourite, accountants or bookkeepers?
Answer wisely.
Wait, were you asking me, Tony, or were you
No,
asking
I was asking
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Me? What do I
Yeah.
prefer? Bookkeepers.
Yeah, what's your favourite?
Bookkeepers are involved in the day-to-day. You get really involved with the clients and the businesses. I'm not a once a year, once a quarter kind of person. I build real relationships with clients, and only bookkeepers get that privilege.
Nice.
Very true. Yeah, good. I thought that might be a bit like the "Who's your favourite child?" question.
No, she knows.
No
You can't tell her now.
diplomacy, straight in. Yeah.
We can't surprise her with that question now, can we? Now she's going to overthink it. Right.
Whichever one's listening to this podcast, that's my favourite.
Serious questions now. All right.
Good answer.
This is a business podcast on LinkedIn and YouTube for serious business people, serious stuff. In your experience as a bookkeeper, what are the top 3 mistakes business owners make when it comes to bookkeeping or lack thereof?
Oh, 3 mistakes. So the first one is believing they can do it themselves. And I feel like software is to blame for that. I feel like advertising is to blame for that, because we all see the softwares go, oh, you can just do it all from your bank. Or Monzo Bank will go, oh, you can just do all your bookkeeping from there. How things are allocated to the correct nominals is one of the biggest mistakes we see. So people will go out and buy a car and put it in office equipment, or people will go out and buy stationery and spend £4 and put it as an asset, which makes no sense when it comes to the year end. I think
for the layperson, could you explain what a nominal is, please?
So a nominal is where you put it in your accounts, your finances. So nominals in accounting softwares are different sections of what your expenses or income are. So quite often with clients who have multiple different sources of income, when their money comes in the bank, we will put it into different nominals so that when we run reports, we can see what's making the most money. We can see where the money is coming, where the money is going. It also helps with budgeting when you're starting to grow your business, because you can see where you're spending the most, where you could potentially cut back, where you could actually make more profit in your business.
Cool. Thank you. That's very, very helpful. Do you have any funny client bookkeeping or expense stories?
As in trying to get things through the accounts?
Yeah, because we've all got a few. I think Tony's had a few. I've seen a few that are quite fun.
I've got a similar one to, I think somebody else has mentioned it, maybe on this podcast before, but I have had a client try to put their wife's boob job through the account.
Right.
Mate, that's marketing. I'm sorry.
The wife doesn't work for the business.
Oh, well then, yeah, that's not marketing.
Yeah. It's a bit more than the £50 trivial benefit rule.
Yeah,
just that's probably one of the funniest ones. I've also got a client who doesn't have an office, who will send me a WhatsApp every couple of months. Can I buy a TV and put it through the business? It's like, where's this TV going? Is it going in the business premises? Do you have an office? You're gonna tie it to the side of your van? Like, what is the business use case for this one? But yeah, and every time I say no, they try again in a couple of months. Like the rules are going to change that much. That I'm going to go, yeah, do you know what? Fine, go for it. No.
One day they might surprise you and have an office, and hopefully they discuss it with you first, but they probably won't. And they'll be like, no, I've got an office now.
I'd be like, okay, show me where the TV is then in that office.
What
The evidence.
are yours, Dale? Have you got? What were the good ones you've got? I'm sure we've done this one before, but
Okay, so I've got two. One of them is just people accidentally putting personal things through, and they were adult materials. That's pretty much right.
Oh,
That's
I see
happened.
plenty of OnlyFans on bank statements when it comes
Yeah,
to
stuff like that, or certain Ann Summers purchases. The best one was though a client was trying to ask if they could purchase an office chicken, and their logic was it could be some kind of benefit for employees, like a stress relief chicken, and then the eggs could be a lunch benefit for the employees. Is it some way we can like have the chicken in the office and reduce tax? And I was like, again, I'm not an accountant, but I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
How much is a chicken to buy?
Like,
it can't be expensive, surely.
10 quid,
like,
20 quid for a live one? I don't know, but it can't be expensive, no. So it was just really weird. And I liked their creativity. I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. But also, if I was a staff member, I'd be like, that's a lame benefit. I'm just going to go buy an egg sandwich from, Sainsbury's or something.
I'd have gone down the therapy chicken route, maybe. I'd have looked into more of a therapy chicken than
therapy chicken.
Yeah, but they're not like dogs, which are trainable and easy to get along with. Like chickens are just chuffing annoying. There's very little therapeutic advantage, in my humble opinion. Like, I'm happy to correct people in the comments. Let me know if there's a therapy chicken that you know of, or a therapy animal.
maybe we could create the first one.
The noise of them clucking about in their sort of little hen house is quite sort of transports you to a rural
white noise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that on the white noise app that I have on my phone, chickens is an option.
If it's not, it should be.
I'll have a look in a minute. I had one where the business owner in question had put through or tried to put through a £10,000 family holiday to like the Bahamas or something through his business, which was nothing to do with like travel or anything. It was a construction business or something. And when challenged, was like quite indignant about the fact that holiday was a requirement for him to be able to continue to run the business. He needed that holiday to stay sane, de-stress, and that was absolutely, it was wholly and exclusively for the purposes of his trade. There was no personal enjoyment whatsoever. The fact that he was taking his family and his children on this holiday with him, no, and was quite indignant about being challenged about it as well. Like, no, this is definitely a business expense. My favorite was we used to have this one client, and he was sort of later in his career, and I think what he'd done was kind of like he'd sort of still got this little business that was running, but there wasn't a huge amount to it, and it was just kind of like cash cowing at the end of its life. And he had quite a lot of money and also quite a lot of time to kind of become a sort of tax hobbyist. And he used to ring up kind of like 2 or 3 times a year, and he was like, I found a loophole. But it would be like a really basic loophole of like, could we move this loss here or something? Or I know what I'll do. I'll take this loss in an unrelated company and put it in a different company. I'm like, you can't do that. That's not how it works. No, I'm pretty sure HMRC won't pick up on it. I was like, yes, but you're required to self-certify that you've done it correctly. And then if they do pick up on it and you haven't done it correctly, then you can get in a bit of trouble for that. No, I'm not sure that's how it works. Just this sort of idea that he could have outsmarted HMRC, like no one else, all the tens of thousands of like highly trained, highly educated, highly intelligent tax people, of which I don't include myself in that number for any of those reasons, wouldn't have noticed this loophole in their day-to-day activities, and he's picked it up. It was very amusing.
Going to jump in the comments real quick. Mehul, love Stephanie's 3BZ podcast since started watching when she was on 93rd episode and now nearly 170 episodes. 170, congratulations. That's no joke. What's been your favorite episode?
170 tomorrow. That's tricky because a lot of mine are solo. I do love having guests on. A really cool one, I had Neil Kerber, who is a cartoonist. He does some of like the Red Bull designs, the little cartoony for the adverts. He did like Visa and things like that. He made me, and the way he sold this to me and the whole marketing of it was incredible. So when I won the Luca, obviously I posted on LinkedIn about it, the first Luca back in 2024. And he sent me a message. He's like, I've drawn you something. And he'd drawn me, and it was Oscars week, just before Oscars week. And it was like, never mind the Oscars, I'm ICB's Influence of the Year 2024. And it was like me in a black dress, and it was incredible. And he's like, I've drawn you this thing. That was his cold sell, if you like. That was his intro to me. And I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. I have to have it. And from that, we built quite a relationship, and we talk quite a lot now. But he is wonderful. He'd never done a podcast before. He'd never pushed himself out of his comfort zone. And he was just starting to look at taking on his own commissions rather than being involved with like the Times and stuff. And it was amazing to see from when we started it. And like mine are pre-recorded, not live. So again, if you've not been on a podcast before, it's a great one to start with, because we can cut things out, we can edit things, you can take another take if you need to. By the end of it, he was just an absolute pro at it. He was absolutely winging it. And he said that after his episode aired, he'd sent me an email and said his friends and things had sent him messages saying how amazing it was that he'd done it, and they were so proud of him, and it was so brilliant. And it's the impact of us giving advice on an exchange, a purchase, and that great out of the box marketing thinking, I think made a massive difference. And that was really nice to see that even people that aren't necessarily in the business world that knew him had listened and watched and gone, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Sounds very rewarding. You have some very cool clients, but more than half of them, you can't talk about because they've got NDAs, correct?
Yeah, I work with some incredible people.
Are there any you can mention? I know you don't want to brag because you're quite a humble person, but anyone you could brag about that you work with, you can tell people who you're working with. Is that possible? Please,
yeah, so one of the people that I work with, so people that don't know me, I have 3 major passions in life. Number 1 is business, number 2 is motorsport, and number 3 is music. That is just me in a nutshell. And I work with a guitarist and playback tech called Scott, whose stage name is Disruptor. Go and listen to his music if you haven't. He's incredible. He's also the kindest, most humble person you'll ever meet. He's so cool. He's currently on tour, I believe, with Holly Humberstone. Like, he is so cool. And we were speaking the other day because we're working on something at the moment. We were speaking the other day on WhatsApp, and I was like, where are you now? He's like, oh, I'm just in Philadelphia. I'm like, this is just so cool that I get to talk to these people that are touring all over the world and help them with their businesses so that they can build the lives and dreams that they want.
That's awesome. I had a follow-up question and it's disappeared, which is quite embarrassing because this is live, but it is what it is. Let's go for a signature question. Tony, shall we do the hot beverage question?
I think we should do the hot beverage question. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you drink hot drinks, Stephanie?
Do.
Good.
I know what's coming now, and I'm going to disappoint you all greatly.
So, tea, coffee, or hot chocolate?
Coffee. It has to be cappuccino because I'm a snob.
Okay. We listen. We don't judge.
That's not true. I listen to judge all
I know,
the
but
time.
I'm a Yorkshire.
I know that.
So,
we say that because it lulls them into a false sense of security now. The guests, they can say whatever they like. The internet is forever. Okay.
Yep.
So you know what's coming. The coffee question, which is so if we are living in a world where there are no artisan coffee shops and we only have access to the big chains, which big chain are you going for, and which one are you going to avoid like the plague?
So I'm going to go Costa for 2 reasons.
Oh, there's a dagger in the heart.
I told you, you're not going to like me. But there's 2 reasons for this. Number 1, their loyalty program means I get more free coffee quicker.
Good reason.
And I'm an accountant, so cheap as possible, please. Number 2, I find them the most standard between franchises. So unlike other franchises where you can get a really great Cafe Nero in one and get a really awful in another, I find Costa is the most consistent.
I would agree with that, but for different reasons.
Which one's the worst of the chains, by the way?
Yeah, which one would you avoid? It's not the worst, Dale. Which one's just
of the big five? Of the big 5, which one would you avoid the most?
5? What 5 are we going? So
you've got Costa. Yep, and I think Greg's in the UK is actually one of the top 5. I kid you not. I know.
Greg's coffee is ranked, and I get a free one on my Monzo app, and I feel like that's like my really, really last case scenario.
Yeah. So Greg's is the last place.
Because it comes out of a machine as well, and it's like I press a button, and no, we like it proper with a barista.
Okay. I mean, I know you already asked the question, but should we extend it and give Stephanie 2? Like, should we ask her the tea thing as well? It's really
Go for it.
important.
Go for it.
So yeah, this again, the another part of the hot beverage question is when you're making a cup of tea, what order are you putting things in and why? So you've got your milk, you've got your the tea bag, you've got the hot water, sugar if you have it. What order are those going in and why? Very
Right.
important.
I'm a Yorkshire girl, so I'm gonna preempt this with I am a Yorkshire girl. So I'm
Okay.
about to do my entire county really bad disjustice, I feel.
Right.
Controversial. I don't make a cup of tea. I won't make a cup of tea. Other people can
do
make it
it.
better than me, so I don't. If I really, really had to, I will just go to the cafe on site if I've got a client and he wants a cup of tea. Like, I don't make the tea. I will pay someone to make the tea. I'm that kind of human. Sounds really snobby.
All right.
But hot water, tea bag, hot water. Let it steep for 3 to 5 minutes. It has to be Yorkshire tea bag, Yorkshire Gold ideally. Otherwise, I get told off by my fiance. Let it steep, squeeze the tea bag out, then add the milk, small amount, so you get it right, and then add the sugar.
Okay, that's reasonable. That's reasonable.
Because if you add the sugar first, then it gets absorbed into the tea bag, so you actually end up with less sugar.
Cool.
It's true.
Because there's some crazy people who put the milk in first, don't they? They put the milk in the tea bag, which is just
it's like milk before cereal. It's
absurd.
just not. You just don't do that.
What? Milk before, as in they put milk in the bowl and then put the cereal on top.
And then put cereal in. Yeah, it's weird.
But then you don't get the right measurement of cereal.
That is insane. They're probably
I've never heard of
people that brush their teeth with warm water, I would guess.
Oh.
Or
put milk in before they take the tea bag out.
Yeah.
You guys are blowing my mind. I've never heard of those two things before. Warm water, that's just effort because you got to wait for the tap to warm. But
Yeah,
also, I can imagine that feels weird. That's absurd. Tony,
Clean your teeth with
do you feel
warm
like
water?
do you feel like naming and shaming if you who does that?
No, I can't remember who it was.
The internet's forever, Tony.
Yeah, it's not me. No, it's happened to me before because, like, you imagine you've had the hot tap on and you're washing your hands and you sort of forgot about it, and then you just like put the tap on if it was a mixer tap, and then it like, and then you're like, no, what's going on? This is the most jarring experience I've ever had. But yeah,
You can go the other way as well. Do you put the water on before the toothpaste or after? Because that seems to cause quite a lot of discourse.
does it?
I wet the toothbrush first, then put toothpaste on, then re-wet it.
That's a waste
Covered
of
all
water.
bases are covered.
Not very sustainable of you, Dale.
Yeah,
I don't care about the planet at all.
this guy with this massive water bill, just flexing.
That's why we've got a
Stephanie.
hose pipe ban in Kent. It's all Dale's fault.
All my fault. I don't have a car at the moment, so I'm definitely not washing my car. That's for sure. Right. Anyway, we need to ask you some serious questions because we've done too many jokey questions. What advice would you give to a younger person who wants to get into the bookkeeping or accounting industry? So someone who's 16 or 18, what should they do? Should they go to university? Should they apply for an accounting firm, an apprenticeship? What should they do? And what are the pitfalls of the industry that you realized when you were younger? That's a very long question with like 3 different prongs. Apologies.
John Tony.
I'm used to it by now. So if you are starting out and you're about at 16, so my personal route was to go to college, didn't really like it that much, then got an apprenticeship. So I'm a firm believer that an apprenticeship is definitely the way to go. Not only because you get real life experience, I feel like any job, especially our industry as bookkeepers and accountants, it's like driving. You learn to pass the test, then you learn to drive. You don't learn to drive when you're learning to drive. It's only once you're allowed out on the road that you understand it in a real life basis, in a real scenario. And I feel like our industry is the same. Like on paper, bookkeeping and accountancy is nothing like what it actually is in the real world. There's been a couple of times where I've taken friends to bookkeeping and accountancy events with me who are not in the industry, and they're like, but you're not boring. It's like, no, we're not. They're really not. But there is that misconception that it's sitting in the corner because all you do is sit with receipts. There is this real misconception of our industry in general, I feel. So an apprenticeship is great because they get real life experience and are able to apply the knowledge as they are learning it, which I think is important. The other side of an apprenticeship is you start getting paid early. The cost of living goes up all the time. They're going to learn to start managing their money when they're probably still living at home. They're going to have a little bit more of a slow, gradual introduction to saving, to managing, paying a bit of rent to your mum. We all did it. That was part of me releasing Finance for Life. The book was teaching these financial strategies that are not taught in schools. They need that real world financial education that we just don't get here in the UK.
Could we get a snippet of that real world? Like what's kind of like some things that you think young people should know about finances? Obviously, they should buy the book, obviously, but like,
They should absolutely buy the book. Or if they're on Kindle, if you get Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free and I still get paid commission. So do that. Doesn't cost you anything and I still get paid. Everyone wins. I think important things like understanding your tax code. So there's a chapter in the book about understanding your tax code and national insurance. The thing I see with most business owners, because again, our generation wasn't taught this stuff either, is that they don't know what a tax code is. They don't know if it's right or wrong. They don't understand what a tax code is and how tax is actually calculated. And that if you're offered a job at £12.71 an hour, you're not going to get the whole £12.71 an hour take home. And understanding that national insurance is cumulative is one of the things I spend most of my time explaining to people and clients, is that national insurance and how it is calculated, and it's on a cumulative basis, and what you earn in the months prior in the tax year make an impact on that month's pay. I think saving and budgeting, and in there's different methods. You know, I'm old school. I feel really old at 35, but I'm old school in that we used to have envelopes and we put things
Tony
away
and I
in
are both older
envelopes.
than you, but there we go.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm a baby today, but I also feel like one of the oldest. So we would save in envelopes, or we would have different things, and we'd manually take the money out. We'd have the cash in front of us and we'd split it. Nowadays, everything's done digitally. Nobody really carries cash much anymore. So there's also digital methods like the pots that we have in the banks. And in the industry, we're aware of this, but all the children of the world have not been taught that this is an option. Many of the high street banks don't do it. So unless you're with one of the online banks, they're not going to know that you can create these online savings pots that you can automatically start putting things away. My son is 14 now, and he's so far ahead of his friends. And he was one of the main inspirations of the book, because he clearly listens and absorbs what I am saying and when he hears me talking. Because he removes nearly all of his money out of his main account and puts it in a pot. He has a store money pot in his bank account. So if he loses his phone, if it gets stolen, he loses his bank card, they can only take that little small amount, and they can't take all of the money and empty his bank, which I think is incredibly responsible.
Definitely.
For a child of 14.
Not quite the same thing, but I've got an issue with my daughter. She's 6, and she's very rarely seen me use money, right? So I've actually started taking money out of the ATM, sorry, just so she knows that, like, when I buy something for £10 and I get change, she understands the concept of change and the concept of money. Because I remember one time she asked me to buy something. I was like, kid, I can't do it right now for whatever reason. I've got the money. And she's like, but daddy, you just tap your phone and you get it. I was like, no, kid, that's attached to my bank account, which has a figure attached to it. It's technically money. It used to be paper money. And so I bought her like a little till, and we play make believe, and we play, like, you know, coffee shops, and she understands how to break a £5 note, because, like, she had never seen me do it. Whereas I think when I was growing up, you know, I saw my parents go to the shopping and pay money, but her generation has never seen it, and it's to her detriment. So yeah, it's a very big thing.
Even when they have seen it, there can be some confusion around the value of it. So I was at the beach last summer, and we did this little treasure hunt thing, and we mark out a little map, and then we go around the little treasure hunt map, and then we find the X marks the spot, and then we dig up the whatever treasure might be under the X marks the spot. And the first time we did this, we dug it up, and my daughter dug up a bag of coins, and then we went to the shop and spent the coins on a little seagull teddy. And then the second time we did it, I didn't have any coins, so I buried a £5 note. She took up a £5 note, pulled the £5 note out of the little bag that it was in, and went, "Oh, Daddy, it's only money." She's so disappointed. Carried on digging in the hole. She's like, "Where's the coins?"
Yeah, that's golden.
She only to laugh. Yeah. Oh dear, it's only money. She was so disappointed and heartbroken. Yeah. So yeah, you got to start educating them young, because that's you know, it's an important distinction to make.
All right, Stephanie, would you like a jokey question, a serious question, or a Tony question?
What's a Tony question?
Over to Tony.
Yeah, they're just questions that I ask in a slightly different way to how Dale asks them. Dale tends to ask more direct, blunt questions with zero context, whereas I tend to give more context around the question that I have, which is what denotes it as a Tony question. And I ask it. Although, in fairness, you've asked a couple of Tony questions today, I would say, Dale. So maybe
you're wearing me down.
It feels like going for a vowel or consonant. I feel like I'm playing like countdown. Vowel
basically, yeah.
I'll go for a Tony question then. Let's go for a Tony question.
My My question was going to be around, so it was sort of formulating. I mean, we kind of wandered off onto a different track. I noticed on your, this is actually not the question I was going to ask, but I'm going to ask it now because it feels like an appropriate time. I noticed on your LinkedIn you had a post entitled something along the lines of "How to Win a Luca Award," something like that. How do you win a Luca Award? What's your advice to anyone that's looking to pick up a Luca Award?
Well, they can go back and listen to the webinar, and then I ain't got to tell you again. But no, so I think the most important thing for a Luca Award is many bookkeepers are introverts. I'm one too. I suffer with anxiety. You probably wouldn't notice it, but I do. And we are very bad at celebrating ourselves and going, look at me, I've done this amazing thing. Luca Awards, I feel, because they are the Oscars of the bookkeeping world, they are the creme de la creme that you can win if you're an ICB member or bookkeeper. It gives you an opportunity to look back at how far you've come. It also gives you an opportunity to build your own confidence, because you look back and you go, oh, I did all this year, or I did this thing, or I saved this person from going to jail. Whatever it may be that you've done that year that's pushed yourself out of your comfort zone, that little bit, something that, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a Luca, it can be awards in general. I think they're very important to reflect on how far you've come. And also, if you're not currently tracking KPIs, if you're not currently tracking what you're doing in your business, you need to look back. So I filled in my Luca applications at the weekend, and I looked back, and when I started the business in 2021 to the year to date of 2025, no, it's 2026, I believe, it was like an 85% increase in revenue. Now I close in August. It's common knowledge. Like, I build my practice to suit me and my life. I close in August. We have 1 hour a week where we are contactable. We have office hours. I spend the summer with my kids. My youngest is in year 6 now. It's my last summer with a child of primary school age. And I've spent the last few summers, which is why I left employment and started a business, was to spend time with my kids. So my income's increased. And even if your income hasn't increased when you've looked back, you might have dropped down to 4 days a week. You might have taken a 2-week holiday after working non-stop as a business owner for years. And that sort of information you only get if you track it, because I wouldn't have known that had I not have started tracking it from the beginning. And I think it's important to do that. Go.
As someone who judged the Luca Awards, not your category specifically, because that'd be a conflict. But no, what you said there about your entries, making it personal, you mentioned about saving someone from going to jail, right? That's the stuff that makes, in my humble opinion, a good judge who is unbiased go, oh, wow, that's a real life impact. So I remember judging entries, and some of them were just sales spiel, right? And I was like, I get it, you've made turnover, great. But it was always, for me personally, it was the human interest stories. What did you do for your clients? And the really big one that a lot of people who apply, even if you're an introvert and don't want to be on stage, fine, they don't get right, is actually read and answer the chuffing questions. The amount of entries I went through, the amount of things where they waffled for like a paragraph, and I read it because I took it seriously. I was like, you haven't actually directly answered the question. And sometimes people could just put a sentence in that answer the question, give one example, and that will be a better entry. So read the questions, actually answer the question, and then humanize it. So
yeah, and one of the biggest ones. So last year I looked over quite a few I had a community teaching other bookkeepers to do what I do, called the Manly Social Community. And part of last year was, I was like, send me your entry, let me read over it, let me give you constructive feedback on it before you press submit. A couple of my members, Mahul's was one of them, they speak to their clients in multiple languages because they are in multiple languages. Renata, who won the Bookkeeper in Industry Award, speaks more than one language because her main language isn't English. But that's amazing. I don't talk to my clients in 2 languages. That little thing that you do every single day, take a step back and be like, that's amazing. That's something that not everybody else does. That's what needs to be included. And the other thing is evidence. The biggest thing for the Luca Award specifically, or any award, is that supporting evidence, facts, figures. We all have a P&L. We are all data nerds if we're in this industry. That data, the judges are also going to want to see. They want to see the real impact, like Dale said, the personal side, but also backing that up with evidence. So last year I got highly commended in the payroll category because I had a client who had only 1 member of staff. So there was her as a director, 1 member of staff. That 1 member of staff went on maternity. So all of a sudden she's now got to pay for that and pay maternity allowance. I didn't have the money to do that. So we applied up front. We got the money up front. We put it in a pot. That's what you can do. It is an option. But I'd looked at that client situation and gone, how can I relieve that stress for her? How can I make it easier for her to run a business? and how can I just help? How can I help? I think that's the main thing bookkeepers want to do anyway, is to help people, help business owners. So that little example is something that many of us have probably done 100 times over for our clients, by putting it into the application and saying, this was the client, this was the situation, she was stressed, she was worried, this is how I helped her. That, I think, is what makes you stand out.
100% agreed. Just going to jump into the comments real quick, because a long-time friend of the show, commenter and guest, has jumped into the comments. Debbie Hales, woo! Fashionably late at the point you're preventing people from going to jail. Debbie's awesome. Have you ever met or heard of Debbie, by the way? Have you?
No, I haven't. Hi.
You should meet at some point. She's also in Kent, by the way. Just a badass boss lady like yourself. She's now like semi-retired, right? She ran a business for like 20 odd years, and she's enjoying her retirement or semi-retirement. She's great contact. I'll make an introduction after this.
Amazing.
What was I going to say? Okay, Stephanie, if you could eat one animal for the rest of your life, forsaking all others, what animal, not a particular cut of meat, what animal are you choosing to eat forever?
Animal. Oh, that's really hard. Do I tell you I'm a vegetarian just to get out of the question? I'm not. But
you can tell me that if you want. I'll adapt the question. It's fine.
Do you know what? I'm going to go pig. I think I'm going to go pig. And I know other people have said pig on here before, but they're right. It's the ham, it's the bacon, it's the pork, it's the sausage. There's so many options. There's pork belly. And I just think that you can also get it quite lean if you want to be eating healthy, or you can indulge if you want to indulge. So I think it's an all-rounder with the most options.
So Tony and I are both cow, because we're like, for the same reason we think it's a good all-rounder. We both like a good steak, a good ribeye on the barbecue, right? That crust, Tony. Am I right? Just
my art, mate. That's what we want.
That's probably a terrible sound for listeners. I realise, me licking my chops. Sorry, everyone. You know what we're going to do as well? We usually wait till like near the end of the show to do this. Stephanie, do you have any questions for me or Tony?
I've got to ask you a question. Now, that wasn't in the debrief.
There is no debrief. There's no debrief. You don't have to. You can say skip.
Can it be a silly one?
It can be as whatever you want it to be.
Whatever question you like. Yeah.
Can it be? Does it have to be serious, or can it be silly?
It could be whatever you can. You can ask us several questions, Stephanie. It's up to you.
Okay, first one, and it's a really important one. Which F1 driver do you support and why?
None of them. I don't watch F1. Sorry.
Got
Hamilton, because he's the most famous and he's British. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not a massive F1 fan, but it's definitely Lewis Hamilton. I dip in and out of it. Sometimes I watch it sort of like I haven't watched much of it in recent times. I will say that the final lap when Lewis Hamilton didn't win his 8th title,
Abu Dhabi 21,
will remain the biggest sporting injustice that I've ever seen on any sporting event ever across the 42 years that I've been watching sport. I still cannot get over that, especially with the significance of it being for like the all-time standalone record, just making it up as you go along to make it more interesting because somebody else won the title. And if he does, which looks increasingly likely, go on to not break that record, that just feels like the most unfair thing I've ever seen in sport. So yeah.
Ooh, can I change my answer actually? I'll go for Nigel Mansell. There we go. My all-time favourite F1 driver. Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Any other questions?
Another question? Okay. I'm going to go for a really boring one, but I just want your answer so I can use the snippet on my podcast. Who's going to win the World Cup?
I'm always cheering for England. Always.
If it's not England, then I think France, but maybe that's a boring and obvious answer. Maybe Norway. Erling Haaland is going to win the World Cup on his own.
Just him.
Yeah. And he's not even going to break a sweat.
No, that's a pretty cool answer, actually. Yes, no.
Okay.
I'm a very big football fan, so.
Back to business questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask this in a Tony-esque way.
Okay.
What is the benefit of coming to a provider like yourself compared to the top 5 in terms of bookkeeping or accounting? Because some people will see the name and prestige and assume that means a different level of service. But what is the benefit of coming to someone like yourself who's a slightly smaller operation by comparison?
Slightly smaller. It's literally just me. Very small. Personable. You're never going to get. I'm going to stick my foot in the sand, I think, here, and I'm just going to say it because you will never go to another bookkeeper or an accountant that cares as much as I do. You will never ever find a bookkeeper or accountant that cares as much about their clients as I do.
That's a bold claim.
Eat, sleep, and breathe. It is a bold claim, and I will back it up 110%.
I mean,
because they are. I lose sleep. I have genuinely lost sleep over clients' problems and situations before. I am a very caring person. Naturally, I care about everything and everyone, and I want to help as much best I can. But you're going to go to a big five, and you are a number. You're a client. Even if you've got a client manager, you've got a unique person. Yes, you've got the experience, you've got the prestige, but you've also got a lot higher overheads. You've also got a lot higher share of the pie that your fees are going to have to contribute to. My KPIs are my own. I know what I need to earn to survive, to put a roof over my head, to feed my children. And above and beyond that, I am nearly 20 years into this industry. So I have seen all the changes. I've been alongside you all. I'm also building a business. So I understand what shoes you are in because I also do it every single day. I am honest enough to say I've made a mistake. I won't hide behind things. I won't fluff things up. I'm human. Humans are infallible. And I care. I just really, really care. I love what I do. I'm so grateful that I get to do what I do. And I get to see my clients do amazing things.
Will you ever get an employee or employees to support you?
I've had one. Didn't go well.
I'm sorry to hear that. Would you try again?
I would, but they would have to have my ethos. They would have to care as much as I do. They would have to have that get up and go. And if they don't have that, I would much rather they're not a part of the practice because the service levels that I provide have to be 100%. There's no negotiation.
Which by very definition is going to be extremely difficult to find because
I'm a unicorn.
However motivated they are, they're not going to have like your equity in it. So it's, yeah.
But even if I was employed, I'd still care this much. I've always cared this much, whether I've been in an employed role or whether it's been my business. Like that's just who I am. And people are who they are. Skills are teachable. People are people. So I've always been a personality sort of based. That's how I take people on. We don't have a niche at ABCS UK. If I click with the person, it's a good person, I'll work with them. It's that simple.
What advice would you give to other small business owners who are looking to employ? Because you mentioned you had someone didn't work out for various reasons. What was your experience, if you can talk about it? And what advice would you give learning from that?
Don't hire your friends.
Right. Yep. Sometimes you've got to learn that one the hard way. Because sometimes it genuinely works out. You get a friend who fully understands that maybe you're the boss and the dynamic's different. But yeah, 99% of the time, friends and family.
Statistically unlikely that they're going to be the right person, isn't it? When you think about the chances that they were incredibly excellent for the job that you were trying to hire from and also happen to be your friend as well. That's such an infinitesimally small chance that person is going to be both those things simultaneously.
Yeah, but as a new business owner, I'd been maybe a year, 2 years in business.
Yeah.
Just wanted some support. My friend at the time, all her children were now in school. She just wanted something a couple of days a week. I was like, great, that's not a massive wage bill for me. I can start offloading some of the responsibility because when you carry it all yourself as a solo business owner, that's a lot to carry. And you're not going to grow a business if you're holding everything in your head. It's something I talk about all the time on my podcast. You can't hold it all in your head if you've not got systems and processes down. And that kind of forced me to start writing down systems and processes because they needed things that were in my head.
Mm-hmm. Of all the bookkeeping platforms, which one is your favorite?
Depends on the client.
Oh,
the right answer.
Good answer.
It really does. I'm not a team blue, team green. I'm not a. We tend to stick with Xero and free agent. We was mainly Xero. More and more clients are the right fit for free agent, so we're going with them. I am one of Theo Pathetis' SBS winners, so Small Business Sunday with Theo Pathetis. He chose me back in 2024, which means that free agent and NatWest are great sponsors of the event. So a lot of the SBS other winners that have community that become my clients, it makes sense for them to use NatWest and free agent and Metal. So the more I've used it, the more adaptable they've become. I mean, free agent's customer service is second to none, whereas more of my more complex clients suit Xero and the options that Xero provide for software.
Tony's like, how do I clip this up? Because as you know, he works for free agent.
So my views on the show are my own.
Yes, I know. I'm joking.
I do this independently, but it's
nice to hear, isn't it?
It was always very nice to hear, and I think that as a platform, free agent has been quietly building like more and more functionality, and there's some other bits and pieces coming this year that will really kind of like just knock those final bits out into you can do things for bigger businesses, and it is just a case of kind of like everyone catching up to where Stephanie's at, because what you've just described is exactly exactly what we kind of how we see it, is that, you know, it used to be that free agent was sort of really for the smallers, and actually now it's capable of handling a lot bigger businesses, but the market's view on it is just catching up essentially. So
yeah, and I'm honest. If I thought it was rubbish, I'd tell you whether you were.
I've got that much from you thus far, Stephanie. So yes, yeah.
No, I'm inclined to agree. I used to dislike free agents strongly, and then before I left Cal, we did some great work with the account manager there, and I was like, okay, this is game changing. Like the way they've done it, the way they built it. You said the added features, Tony. Again, we're not getting paid for this. This is personal opinions, blah blah blah. But like the way they put stuff into the platform, I was like, this makes sense. Like this is perfect for what it needs to be. So yeah, free agent done a great job, and the marketing team are on point.
Yeah, I've picked up the phone before and gone to them. Like I've got this client and I really want to move them there because they've got metal accounts. It makes perfect sense, but there's this one particular report that I really need for that client that I just can't build in free agent. They're like, give me a couple of days. There you go. Like, just you're amazing. Like they will genuinely listen to me, single practice owner with 35 clients. Like I'm not one of the big dogs. I'm not a huge revenue generator for them, but they are as invested in me succeeding as I am in my clients. And for that reason, that is why free agent is strongly becoming one of the market favorites.
Lee, clip that up when you get a chance, buddy. That sounds great. Sorry,
I'm going to clip what he said too.
Our producer / editor will get that. That was a great little segue. I'm going to jump to the comments. Going to jump to the comments real quick because people have been talking. So Debbie Hales, I feel the same about the asbestos industry. I think she's referencing when you were talking about your passion for your clients. Again, she's a great lady and cared about her clients as well. She says, Debbie Hales, being an employer is tough as it's not being an employee. I think that's what she meant. Lee has dropped in the magic letters into one of his comments, talking about getting support and staff and employees. Build an assistant with Claude. So I have to ask you, Stephanie, because AI is such a buzzword. What are your thoughts and feelings?
CRM. Yeah, I built my own CRM back in 2021. Didn't like any on the market. Built my own. I build tech and web shops for clients all the time. Does AI and automations and software does a lot of the heavy lifting in this company for me. I quite like the idea of having an assistant, but I'm now at a point where I actually quite want somebody else in the office. I would quite like to have somebody else to bounce ideas off. That's not going to tell me I'm amazing.
Get an office chicken. The obvious solution. That's the obvious solution.
I only speak one language. We've gone through this. I don't speak chicken. I need them to speak English, or Stephanie's at least. I love AI. I love automation. I love technology anyway. I am quite an early adopter. There is many of the softwares that are, I've been around a couple of years now that I've helped develop and build and given my honest opinion on. Again, Tony, I'm honest, I'm blunt. I'll say if I don't think something's working. I'm great at breaking software. Like I am just the best at breaking it. I don't know why, but I just seem to break them, which is great for software providers because I'm finding the holes in the bucket so that they can fix it.
You should charge them for that, by the way. They actually pay people to do it. You should charge them when you find these problems.
Yeah, I know sometimes, but if it's going to make the software easier for me to use, then there's an efficiency gain there for me.
All right.
So pros and cons. But I think as a general term, though, AI is quite a buzzword, and I think using AI or Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you choose to use, AI has been around forever. One of my favorite examples is: do you remember Microsoft Word when we were at school? And
Clippy.
Yeah, the paperclip.
Yeah,
the paperclip was the very first, old way of what we would call AI. It would check your spelling, it would check your grammar, it would give you room for improvement, it would give you suggestions. It wasn't always right, it wasn't always great.
It was often annoying.
It would sometimes default itself to American English, so your spelling would be wrong anyway. But it's been around forever. It just so happens that now we get the media shouting around about it. That's all it is. And if you're doing a job more than once and it can be done by a computer, then why would you spend your time doing that?
Preach.
That's my opinion.
Preach. Yeah.
I've got a question, and also I think it would be a good juncture to do the quickfire round if you are game, Stephanie.
Yeah, always.
Good. Right. So we have 10 questions. I've actually added a question to the quickfire list in your honour today, which I won't ask you because we've already covered it. But just for your information, that question is, who is the most famous person you've ever met? But I know you're NDA'd anyway.
No, there's a few I can talk about that are not NDA'd.
Okay, well, maybe I will ask you that question then. We'll see, because there's 25 questions on
That's
the
not
list.
work related.
I feel like quickfire doesn't, like, we don't do it properly. Like, you can't tell people the question first, then wait a minute, then ask them the question. That's the opposite of quickfire.
You're right. That is the opposite of quickfire. All right,
one of my quickfire questions might be. Maybe.
Might be. We'll see. We'll keep guessing.
I'm going to mute myself.
You go for it, mate. What is one skill you wish you had, but you don't?
Marketing. Marketing is definitely my downfall.
What is your present company accepted, your favorite podcast outside of this podcast and probably your own podcast as well?
I can't use my own. I'm going to say Ask the Accountant with Johan and Aaron on a Monday morning. I think that's great for bookkeepers and accountants if you are watching this or listening to this. But that's a great on a Monday morning. It starts the week and it gives you all the important updates you need to know.
It is good. It is good. What is your favorite food?
Oh, that's a really hard one because I'm a foodie, but I don't eat a lot. So I'm going to go for cheese, probably. I think it's going to have to be cheese.
What is your spirit animal?
Phoenix, rising from the ashes. No matter what you throw at me, I will come back stronger.
Interesting. Nice. Your most hated grammatical error or mispronounced word?
Your, and your. That one drives me utterly insane. It's not difficult.
Do you know what I also believe in? Sorry, I'm going to pause things because this has to be said right now. I just realised that I've been asking that question for a really long time now, and it's one of my favourite questions because it really riles people up. They feel really passionately about it, and I just realised that I had a spelling mistake in the question. Instead of it saying most,
today, is
it said must. Oh dear. Oh, we go. Who should we have on the show? Guest-wise.
Guest-wise. Have you had Mahul on yet? He's in the audience every week. He would be a great guest.
He is on, surely. Yeah, not too far down the track. Your question, Stephanie. Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
In the racing world, Lando Norris, back in Janetta Juniors when he was 13, when he was a little baby. In the music industry, I mean, this year alone, we've had 3 of the members of One Direction, which is pretty cool. Miles Smith, he's one of my favourite up-and-coming artists at the moment. So, yeah, there's a few pretty cool people.
Am I right in thinking you're quite a large One Direction fan?
Massive Direction.
Which one's your favourite?
Louis, because I knew him when we were little kids.
What are you doing, Dale? We're not finished yet. Back on mute.
He just wanted to get a direction question in just in my honour, so that's fine. I'll take it.
Unbelievable. I don't actually know if I can mute Dale or not because he's done it to me before. The book that you have recommended the most often?
Mine, Finance for Life.
Ding. Your unpopular opinion?
I think alcohol is an absolute waste of time. Like, I don't drink. I don't miss drinking. I think it's just a waste of time. But I know other people like it and will probably come for me in the comments, but I am not one for alcohol.
No, I think that it is on decline. With hindsight, what alternative career might you have pursued if you didn't do the one you do now?
This might shock you, but I auditioned to be in S Club Juniors back in the day, so I think I probably would have been a singer.
I think that's 10. So we'll close on this one because I really like this one. Who are your celebrity lookalikes? Dale's off mute.
When I was younger, so I'm naturally ginger. I'm bottle blonde, but when I was younger, I was quite a dark ginger, and everyone said I looked like Martine McCutcheon. I had that one a lot.
Cool.
That's the end of quickfire. And I've got one more question to ask, which is not a quickfire question. You are a published author, which is really cool. I am sure that there will be more than a few people who have designs on writing a book themselves. What who are listening to the show? What advice can you give about writing a book? Did you enjoy the process? Like, was it fun? Like, yeah, talk us through it.
Yeah, so my book came from a real purpose because it was non-fiction as well. I think it's different between non-fiction and fiction. If you're writing a non-fiction book, it's based on your experience most of the time. So just like when we go all the way back to when we were talking about Luca Awards, keeping that evidence, writing little bits down, things that pop into your head, having a brief beginning, middle, and end like we did back in school, I think is where you need to start. So for me, my first book came, I had to take a lot of time out of this business. And I am somebody who likes to be busy. So I chose that time to write that book. The second book, however, that I'm in the process of working on is as and when I have time to do it, as and when inspiration strikes. Don't put too tight of a deadline on yourself, but do give yourself a deadline for certain milestones. Otherwise, you'll procrastinate on it forever. And the book itself, writing that book has opened more doors and more opportunities for me than anything else I have done to this point. The people that are like, oh my God, you wrote a book. I'm like, I did write a book. Yeah, it's self-published. I did no marketing. It was still picked up by Waterstones, Foyles, and Blackwells. I'm still an Amazon bestseller. I'm still Amazon's hot new release for 28 days, which is a maximum you can have it for. So I'm breaking all these records with no backing. The only backing I had was sponsorship from Apron and from Zero, who donated money so that we could put 200 copies in schools, colleges, and CICs. Every single thing I do is never for me. It's for the people that it's intended for. I do podcasts because the audience needs to listen to it. I wrote the book because our generation and future generations need financial education, and we don't have it in the UK. So every single thing I do is for somebody else. If the audience is who you're writing it for, you'll do it because you want to help them.
Normally, in the last few minutes, I ask, is there one bit of nugget or wisdom or bombshell you want to go out on? I'm not going to ask you that because you just dropped it so hard. I'm going to hit end stream and we're going to say good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Stephanie. You've been an amazing guest.